the stadium went silent. Millions watched in disbelief. And in one unforgettable moment, the entire sports world changed.
Yeah, it gives you chills, right? Just picturing that collective gasp from the crowd.
It really does. Welcome to HAUP Sports. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover the biggest stories in sports, from legendary performances and shocking controversies to locker room drama, trades, rivalries, and the moments that redefine the game.
We dive deep into the stories behind the athletes, teams, and headlines shaping the sports world.
And today's deep dive is, well, it is pure chaos. The headline we are looking at: the Netherlands are one loss away from a World Cup disaster.
Which is a sentence I literally never thought I would say out loud.
Right. Usually when we talk about these heavy tournament favorites, there's this expectation of, absolute inevitability. They're viewed as machines.
Yeah, they show up, they completely dominate ball possession, and they just calmly dispatch the underdogs.
I mean, they march right into the knockout stages without even breaking a sweat.
It is supposed to be this procedural march to the trophy, you know? The group stage is generally viewed by the giants of the sport as just a mere warm-up.
But then you step out of the predictions and into the reality of a World Cup group stage, and suddenly that well-oiled machine starts blowing thick black smoke.
Oh, absolutely. We are looking at a scenario right now that is the absolute definition of a sporting crisis.
The legendary Dutch national team, the famous Clockwork Orange, is standing on the precipice of an early, deeply humiliating exit.
It is a stunning reversal of fortunes, and what is truly remarkable is just how quickly the ground has completely opened up beneath their feet.
To bring you this story, we pulled from a massive stack of sources: sports journalism pieces, in-depth tactical breakdowns from The Athletic, historical match data, and even live betting analytics to see where the smart money is moving.
It is a highly revealing cross-section of data, especially when you contrast the historical prestige of these two programs with their current realities on the pitch.
So our mission for this deep dive is to uncover exactly how the seventh-ranked team in the world ended up in this terrifyingly precarious position against Sweden.
We need to explore how an underdog Swedish team transformed into this explosive giant killing threat.
And why the fallout of this single 90-minute match could completely alter the entire World Cup knockout bracket.
It's because the ripple effects of what happens on this pitch will literally reshape the tournament path for half the teams remaining.
So whether you are a die-hard soccer tactician who loves analyzing passing networks, or you just love a high-stakes, back-against-the-wall dramatic narrative, buckle up.
Yeah, this is a masterclass in how quickly fortunes can change in elite sports. And to understand the sheer panic setting in for the Dutch, we have to start with the mathematics of the group table.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the shock of match day one is still echoing across the globe.
Oh, definitely.
The Netherlands, ranked 7th globally, a team that went completely unbeaten in their qualifying campaign, stumbled into a wildly chaotic 2-2 draw against 13th-ranked Japan.
And they did it in agonizing fashion, conceding a heartbreaking equalizer in the 89th minute.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sweden, ranked 38th in the world, absolutely annihilated Tunisia 5-1.
Which completely destroyed the projected script for Group F. So right now, Sweden is sitting comfortably at the top of the group with 3 points and a massive +4 goal differential.
While the Netherlands and Japan are tied with 1 point each, and Tunisia is at the bottom with 0.
Right.
That seems like a bad start for the Dutch, sure. But historically, big teams recover from a single draw all the time. Why is it a full-blown crisis right now?
What's fascinating here is a crucial and somewhat controversial change in the 2026 tournament rules.
Okay, I love a good rule tweak. What did FIFA do?
For decades, FIFA used goal difference as the very first tiebreaker to separate teams who finished level on points. But for this tournament, they elected to use head-to-head records as the primary tiebreaker.
Wait, walk me through how that actually plays out in this scenario, because if Sweden wins, they have 6 points. The Dutch stay at 1. If Japan beats Tunisia, Japan goes to 4 points. That means Sweden's lead over Japan is only 2 points going into the final match day. That doesn't mathematically lock anything up, does it?
That is the exact trap many fans are falling into when looking at the table. You have to account for the other side of the bracket. Let's say Sweden beats the Netherlands. Sweden moves to 6 points.
Right.
Now imagine Tunisia pulls off a miraculous shock victory over Japan in their matchup.
Okay, so in that wild scenario, Tunisia goes to 3 points, Japan stays at 1, the Dutch are at 1.
Exactly. But here's the critical mechanism of that rule tweak. Even if Tunisia somehow wins their final match and catches up to Sweden on points, Sweden's head-to-head success over Tunisia means Sweden automatically wins the tiebreaker.
Wait, really? So that 5-1 thrashing on match day 1?
It guarantees it. There is absolutely nothing Tunisia can do in the final round of fixtures to overtake Graham Potter's Swedish side if they finish level on points.
Man, it's like playing a board game where you think you know the underlying strategy, you're building up your resources, and then right before the final turn, you realize the win conditions suddenly changed.
That is a great way to put it.
In the past, the Dutch might have felt relatively safe, thinking, well, we dropped points early, but we can just go out and score 6 goals against Tunisia next week to fix our goal differential.
And just brute force their way to the top. But now, a single head-to-head loss is fatal. You can't just make up for it with a goal-scoring frenzy later. It entirely removes the safety net for the tournament heavyweights.
And that's not even the craziest part. Wait until we tell you the knockout nightmare waiting for them.
Yeah, the consequences of not winning this specific group are terrifying for the Netherlands.
Right, because of the bracket mapping. Where do they go if they finish second?
Well, the FIFA bracket logic directly pairs Group F with Group C for the round of 32. If the Netherlands fail to win the group and finish second, they are mathematically projected to face the Group C winner.
And let me guess. The Group C winner is not a team you want to see early on.
Not at all. Statistically, the heavy favorite to win Group C is tournament powerhouse Brazil.
Oh, wow. So a second-place finish means the Dutch are likely flying to Houston on June 29th to play Brazil in the very first knockout round.
Yes. That is a collision course with an early flight home.
But if they manage to win Group F?
If they win the group, their path opens up beautifully. They head to Monterrey to face the Group C runner-up, which the model suggests will likely be Morocco, Scotland, or Haiti.
So if drawing Brazil is a death sentence, then beating Sweden to win the group is literally their only escape hatch.
It is do or die.
Real quick, if you are loving these sports deep dives, make sure you are subscribed. We have got even bigger stories coming up.
So getting back to it, actually pulling off a win against this specific Swedish side, that's where the math problem becomes a severe tactical headache.
Yeah, looking at the tactical breakdowns from our sources, it reveals a glaring, almost dangerous mismatch in how these two teams play the game.
It is a foundational clash of two completely different footballing philosophies.
Let's start with Ronald Koeman's Netherlands. On paper, their underlying stats are incredible. During World Cup qualifying, they were an absolute juggernaut.
Unbeaten, 27 goals for, only 4 against.
And they maintain a massive, suffocating 64.8% possession average. According to ESPN against Japan, they held the ball between 60 and 69% of the time, attempting 340 passes with an 89% completion rate.
They want to monopolize the ball to dictate the physical and emotional tempo of the match.
But I have to push back on those stats being a positive, because despite holding the ball for almost 70% of the game, they generated a measly 0.59 expected goals, or XG, on 10 shots.
It is a staggering drop-off in efficiency.
How is it even mathematically possible to have that much of the ball with players of that caliber and only generate half an expected goal?
It comes down to where that possession takes place. Expected goals, for those who might not track the metric, measures the quality of a scoring chance based on historical data.
Right, so a 0.59 XG means...
It means they were taking very low percentage shots. Koeman deploys this flexible 4-3-3 system that relies on structured passing triangles. But against a deeply entrenched opponent, those passes end up forming a U-shape around the outside of the penalty box.
Ah, so they're just passing it sideways and backward.
Exactly. Utterly failing to penetrate the most dangerous central areas. It is methodical, but it lacks a cutting edge.
And waiting to exploit that exact lack of penetration is Graham Potter's Sweden. And I gotta say, the transformation Potter has achieved with this team is nothing short of miraculous.
It truly is. To fully appreciate what Sweden is doing right now, you have to remember that this same program finished dead last in their initial UEFA qualifying group.
0 wins, 4 goals scored, 4 defeats.
The entire national team program was in total disarray, suffering a massive crisis of confidence.
Then Potter takes over, completely overhauls their mentality, pulls off grueling playoff wins against Ukraine and Poland just to qualify for the tournament, and then they walk into match day 1 and drop 5 goals on Tunisia.
It is an incredible turnaround.
But here's where I'm confused by the data. The sources show Sweden only held the ball for about 47% of the match against Tunisia, and they scored 5 goals from an expected goals metric of just 2.09.
Yeah, those numbers jump right off the page.
I have to stop you there, because scoring 5 goals on just 2 expected goals usually points to an insane run of luck, right? Is Sweden actually clinical, or was Tunisia's goalkeeper just having a nightmare?
Well, it is a fair question, and while there is always a degree of variance in finishing, Potter has designed a system that specifically generates isolated high-danger chances.
Okay, how does that work against a team like the Dutch?
Under Potter, Sweden has reverted to traditional Swedish strengths, a very compact, solid defensive block, usually a 5-3-2, combined with rapid, highly choreographed counterattacks.
So they don't even want the ball.
They do not care about having the ball. They let the opponent pass it around in that U shape. But the moment they force a turnover, they launch a transition with lethal efficiency.
It's like watching a boxer who throws 100 intricate, beautiful jabs that just hit the opponent's gloves, stepping into the ring with a counterpuncher who only needs one devastating uppercut to end the fight.
That analogy perfectly captures the dynamic. The mechanics of this clash are entirely dictated by space.
Because the Netherlands aggressively push their wingbacks, like Denzel Dumfries, high up the field to provide attacking width.
But when they do that, they vacate massive pockets of space in the defensive channels behind them.
So we have a blueprint for a tactical trap. But a blueprint is completely useless if you don't have the right tools to build it.
And unfortunately for the Dutch defense, Sweden has players perfectly suited to exploit those exact vulnerabilities.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the individual one-on-one battles in this match are going to be spectacular. Let's talk about the Swedish front line.
They are arguably the most in-form strike partnership in the entire tournament. Alexander Isak and Viktor Gyökeres.
The numbers these two are putting up are terrifying for opposing managers. Gyökeres, the Arsenal striker, has 19 goals in 32 national appearances.
Against Tunisia, he was an absolute menace. He registered 5 shots, a goal, and an assist.
And his partner, Isak, who played for Liverpool, logged 3 shots, a goal, and 2 assists. Isak actually became only the second Swedish player since 1994 to get a goal and 2 assists in a single World Cup match.
What makes them so difficult to defend is the mechanical synergy of their movements. Gyökeres is physically imposing and deceptively fast.
How does he exploit that space behind the wingbacks?
His specific role in transition is to drift out into that right channel, the exact space vacated by the Dutch wingbacks, and drag a central defender out wide with him.
Which fundamentally breaks the structure of the Dutch defensive line.
Precisely. By pulling that center back wide, Gyökeres creates a massive vacuum of space right in the heart of the defense.
And then Isak just exploits it.
Exactly. Isak, who has world-class timing and pace, immediately rushes into that central void to receive the final pass. It is a perfectly synchronized two-man trap.
But standing in their way is one of the greatest defensive commanders of this generation, Virgil van Dijk.
The undisputed leader of this Dutch side.
He just became the longest-serving captain in the history of their national team. Against Japan, he attempted 102 passes with a 93% completion rate. He isn't just a defender. He is the origin point for their entire possession game.
He is, but Van Dijk thrives when the game is slow and happening in front of him. He is brilliant at reading the play and intercepting passes.
But if they are running at him at full speed...
If Gyökeres and Isak are running full speed at a backpedaling, disorganized Dutch defense, it neutralizes his greatest strengths. He is going to desperately need his center-back partner, Mickey van de Ven, to cover the ground he can't.
And that brings us to a massive storyline that could dictate the entire flow of the match. Van de Ven, the Tottenham defender, is incredibly fast, which is exactly what you need to sweep up those rapid counterattacks.
But he picked up a yellow card against Japan.
Why is one yellow card such a big deal for a defender with his speed? Can't he just rely on his pace to recover?
Well, pace is only half the equation in modern defending. A massive part of stopping a racket counterattack involves the dark arts of tactical fouling.
Oh, right, like grabbing a shirt.
Exactly. If a defender gets caught out of position, they will often purposely grab an attacker's shirt or clip their heels near the midfield line to stop the break before it becomes dangerous. They take the yellow card to save the team.
But Van de Ven physically cannot do that now.
Exactly. Because he is already on a yellow, a tactical foul means a red card, ejection from the game, and suspension for the next match.
It completely changes the psychology of the defender.
It really does. If Gyökeres accelerates past him, Van de Ven has to hesitate. He cannot risk the cynical foul. And against strikers of this caliber, a half second of hesitation is all it takes to concede a goal.
It's a fascinating psychological handicap. Later in the episode, we'll break down the moment fans still can't stop arguing about. But first, let's look at the midfield.
Yeah, there are massive battles across the pitch.
You have Ryan Gravenberch, who brilliantly assisted both Dutch goals against Japan, going head-to-head with Yasin Ayari, who scored twice for Sweden against Tunisia. It's youth and explosive creativity clashing in the center of the park.
And both of those midfielders will be tasked with heavy defensive responsibilities. A single turnover or heavy touch in that central battleground could bypass the entire midfield and lead directly to a transition goal.
Stay tuned and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of the sports world, because this matchup is loaded with history.
Oh, absolutely. They have a long, storied history.
They've played 25 times over the decades. The Netherlands lead the historical head-to-head with 12 wins, 5 draws, and 8 losses to Sweden.
They battled to a 0-0 draw in the group stage of the 1974 World Cup, the famous tournament where the Dutch introduced total football to the world.
And of course, there was that dramatic Euro 2004 quarterfinal where the Netherlands won 5-4 on penalties. But history doesn't win games today, and the current betting markets are actually terrified of this match.
The predictive models are reflecting that anxiety. They are not favoring a comfortable Dutch win at all.
No, the underlying data heavily predicts a highly volatile 2-2 draw, with betting markets leaning strongly toward over 2.5 goals and both teams to score.
Which means the odds makers see exactly what the tactical breakdown suggests: the Netherlands have the world-class firepower to score, but their expansive, possession-based style leaves them incredibly vulnerable.
This raises an important question regarding game state. What happens to the Dutch psychology if the unthinkable occurs and Sweden scores early? Say Sweden hits them on a counterattack in the 15th minute and goes up 1-0.
The panic would be immediate. The Dutch would have to throw even more bodies forward.
Which just leaves them more exposed.
Exactly. And if Sweden takes the lead, they will drop even deeper into their defensive shell, forming almost a 5-5-0 block.
Just parking the bus entirely.
They will completely surrender the ball and choke out every inch of space in the final third. At that point, the Netherlands' usual possession game, passing it sideways around the perimeter, isn't going to yield anything.
They would need someone to break the lines individually, someone to produce a moment of pure magic to break a packed defense.
Can they actually rely on Cody Gakpo, who was oddly quiet in front of goal against Japan despite being heavily involved in the buildup?
Or perhaps Crescencio Somerville, who finally broke through and scored a crucial goal in the 70th minute against Japan.
Somerville has the explosive agility to cause problems, but he is going to be directly matched up against Victor Lindelöf, the veteran Swedish captain.
And Lindelöf knows exactly how to marshal a defense, manage the clock, and frustrate attackers.
If the Dutch cannot find a clinical, ruthless edge in front of goal, all the possession in the world will not save them from elimination.
So what does this all mean? We're looking at a classic David and Goliath scenario, except David has traded his traditional slingshot for a highly calibrated sniper rifle.
I love that. It is so accurate.
The Netherlands are technically the heavy favorites. They have the historical pedigree, the suffocating possession stats, and the world-class names on the back of their jerseys.
But they're walking a razor-thin tactical tightrope against a perfectly designed Swedish trap.
A trap that Graham Potter has laid out with meticulous attention to detail. And the margin for error for the Dutch is absolute zero.
A failure to win here does not just mean a bruised ego for Koeman's men or dealing with an angry Dutch press.
No, because of that head-to-head rule change and the brutal reality of the bracket structure, failing to secure 3 points likely sentences them to an early flight home at the hands of Brazil.
It is the ultimate pressure cooker. And stepping back from the immediate drama of this single match, I think there is a broader concept here that you should really ponder as you watch this unfold.
What's that?
For over a decade, dominating ball possession was considered the absolute gold standard of elite soccer. You think of the great Spanish teams, the classic Dutch teams. If you controlled the ball, you inherently controlled the game.
The philosophy of total football. The idea that defending is just an unfortunate chore you do until you get the ball back.
Exactly. But looking at Sweden's ruthless 5-goal efficiency with less than 50% possession, and looking at the Netherlands struggling to generate meaningful expected goals despite holding the ball for 70% of their match,
We have to ask a difficult, foundational question.
are we witnessing the death of possession-based football? Are we giving way to a new era where hyper-efficient vertical transition play is the new undisputed king of the global stage?
That is a deeply fascinating thought, because if the team that actively does not want the ball ends up destroying the team that demands it, it rewrites the tactical manual for the next decade of international soccer.
It all comes down to 90 minutes on the pitch.
You've been listening to HAUP Sports, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping the world of sports. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the game alive.